Hello and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. I'm Claire Pryde, filling in for Annette Young. Today we've got a special edition for you on women in film. We'll touch on female stereotypes in movies, age discrimination and the Hollywood pay gap. Now our guest is a rare female film director, Lisa Azuelos. Hello.
Hello.
Now, you've put women at the forefront of your films, like LOL and The Leader, which is out now, and you're also a women's rights campaigner. You created the NGO Together Against Gynophobia. I look forward to hearing your views on women in the film industry and how they can go about bettering their lot. But first, Natalie Portman, Jane Fonda and Miley Cyrus, just a few of the many famous actresses who joined the LA Women's March in January. Now, they were there to support women's rights in general, but they're also part of an industry that's not exactly female-friendly. From Los Angeles, France 24's Valérie Defer and Naibi Reynoso report.
People united will never be divided.
Thousands took to the streets of Los Angeles to rally for women's rights in America. Among them were actresses, writers, and Hollywood directors like Christina Beck.
You know, just because we are not given the opportunities that the men are given right now doesn't mean we're not being creative. We just need the opportunity financially.
Because women make up only 17% of Hollywood's creative force.
Scene 1, Bravo, take 4.
This film school is a training ground for Hollywood's next generation. And even here, the majority of the students are men. Marley Roberts is a director, but she also wanted to teach. Her priority, empowering her female students.
Even with when you're on set with production design, you know, if you have an idea, go in there.
Marley hopes to lead by example, inspiring the new generations by proving that a woman can make it in Hollywood.
We've come to a point where people are accepting of women, and yes, there are wage gaps, and there are, you know, other discriminatory issues. But I think the biggest point for me has been the labeling. So being a woman in film and not just a filmmaker. I want to be treated as a filmmaker.
On the red carpet, more and more actresses are speaking out, condemning wage inequality. But movie studios defend themselves by saying films with female leads make less money at the box office.
There are stereotypes to female characters, and yes, women don't get as many great parts. When it comes to the pay disparity, it is a lot, and there needs to be something that's done about it. But we're making big strides in that direction as women, and I think in a few years we'll get there.
Being a successful working actress over 40 is also rare in Hollywood, so actresses like Meryl Streep and Viola Davis become role models for other women.
I fight for myself. I feel like that's my job, is to run my leg of the race in life. And so I will fight for what I deserve and hope that it has a trickle-down effect.
Was it harder as a woman?
It's always harder being a woman, but it's also more beautiful being a woman, where we have the best DNA. We have the heart, we have the power, we have the vision.
At 51 years old, Viola Davis just received her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, a nod to a remarkable 20-plus-year career in the industry, and in her case, also a win for feminism.
All right, time now to turn to my guest, Lisa Azuelos. Thank you very much for coming in. Now, you're internationally best known for LOL. There's a French version, which you worked on first, and then you went to the US. Did your experiences vary a great deal in terms of being a female director, and what's it been like for you all these years in a male-dominated industry?
Actually, I feel very privileged in France to be a female director. What struck me is when I arrived in the States, everybody was like, that's so rare, a female director. We never have one. But they have all the head of studios are female, a lot of head of studios. So because the empowerment in America didn't take place in the same area than in France, you know. So here we're more on the creative side, and in the States they're more on the money side. But they had to be like men to succeed. They had to take, you know, the male attributes in a way to be where they are.
It seems that there's a bit of a disparity in front of the camera, behind the camera. We heard from a film director who says there's a real issue of financing, but we also heard from an actress who says that she believes female actresses have been making a lot of progress in the last few years. What's your feeling? Are we slowly making progress towards gender equality in your industry?
Well, I'm not sure if we were making so much progress that women would have to march if somebody like Trump is elected in a country. So it means that people feel intuitively that when the feminine is in danger, the whole country is in danger. Okay, that's what it means, that march. And I think that for me, the real anti-women's thing is not the payment or the roles or the gaps of salaries or things like that, because it's an unfair industry, Hollywood. And it's just that the history of the cinema will never remember a movie about women as a huge movie. Only topics like finance, politics, war are considered to be big movies. So I think it's more the history of cinema that is what I call gynophobic than the real aspect of technically, because now movies anyway are less powerful than TV series, and you see a huge amount of women, producing, directing, acting, being equal in TV series.
You mentioned the topics that different directors will cover. Catherine Bigelow, she's the only woman so far to get a Best Director Oscar, and that was for a film about war. Is the perception still then that women, you say that films made by women won't necessarily be remembered in history, is the perception or even the reality that women don't make films about interesting subjects?
No, it's the society that decide that what is the women subjects are not important. Like in the news, it will open on finance, on war, on politics. It will never open on, really on people, what's going on at home, who's taking care of the kids, all that. But this is the real society, what's happening in the hospitals, what's with the nurse, what's with the educators and teachers. This is not important topics, but this is what is society about. It's just we have to change the whole perspective and go for a feminine perspective of the society.
I'd like to talk to you more about the solutions. First, though, we've got a report for you, because if you look at the biggest films over the last few years, women tend to speak less than a third of the dialogue. We've got some more statistics now for you on women in film.
It's 69 steps to the top of the red carpet at Cannes to claim the prestigious Palme d'Or. Only one female director has ever done it, New Zealander Jane Campion for her 1993 film The Piano. No woman has won since, probably because men direct 95% of the films that are nominated. Women aren't faring much better in France's National Award. Over its 40-year history, the César for Best Director has also only been won by one woman, Toni Marshall for the Venus Beauty Institute. In Europe, just 1 out of every 5 films is directed by a woman. 84% of financing goes to men, who are often thought of as more capable of carrying out a full-length feature. Inequality is also prevalent in salaries. Of the world's 10 best-paid actors, only 1 is a woman, Jennifer Lawrence in 5th place. And while men aspire to leading roles, most female film parts exist only in relation to the male characters. That's what's been revealed by the so-called Bechdel test. It assesses the presence of women in films with 3 questions. First, are there at least 2 female characters with names? Second, do they speak with each other? And third, do they talk about something other than men? It's a fairly simple standard, and yet 4 films out of 10 fail the test.
So, Lisa, what's your reaction to that? What needs to happen then for these statistics to be turned around?
Unless mentality change, we can fight, we can march, we can do whatever we want. It won't change. It's mentality that needs to change, and it's men who needs to consider vulnerability as also as a force and not, as a weakness.
It's up to men to change things as well, not just women.
But women also, because women want to be part of a fight. We should join in a sacred humanity, not in a fighting humanity. And that's what's happening right now. It's all about how can we fight more, how can we be better, whatever.
You mentioned earlier, though, certain topics. Pedro Almodovar, he'll center on women, and he'll cover their struggles and how they feel, and not just how they are in relation to men. So we need more people like him in the industry, perhaps?
Oh, we definitely need more people like him. And once again, he's a man, but who is really open to the feminine aspect of his soul, of his society, of everything. He's been fighting for women's rights is fighting for human rights. You know, it's not women on one side and men on the other side. It's just, are we going for humanity, or are we going for a society that becomes really...
And yet you've got women doing it for themselves, like you and Juliette Binoche here in France, and we've got Reese Witherspoon producing her own movies in the US. So women are having to do things for themselves.
Yes, but we understood a long time ago that if we don't do things by ourselves, nobody is going to help us anyway. You know, we need to be like more in a sorority kind of society. Even when you're a man, I mean, I saw men marching with women. Suddenly, you know, this is what I call the change of mentality. Now men know that they have to be part of a women march.
And just one final thing, do you think when these films are made about women, centering on women, you've described yourself as a sort of group therapist. Do you think they help change mentalities?
Of course they do. I mean, it's a catharsis thing, a movie. You know, when you see a movie about an empowered woman, I'm sure when women saw Erin Brockovich, it made them feel that they can be strong and they can fight against even a powerful, you know, industry. And that's what women need, just some confidence.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Lisa Azuelos, for coming in. And thank you for watching. If you'd like to comment on what you've just seen, you can head to our Facebook page, that's France24.51%, or send us a tweet at @_51%. Keep those comments coming in and join us for our next show. Bye for now.